I was going to say maybe you can run for president of
it's
the
not
new
like
HOA.
it's not like a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've already got.
Well, that's fine.
Trying to recruit me. I'm like, no.
Fair enough. Oh God, does anybody see me pick my nose? I hope not. Okay, so hello,
everyone. I'm Molly Wood. Welcome back to Make Me Smart. It's Happy Hour Friday, or is economics on tap, as we like to call it. It's also the day before Halloween, and this right here is as close as I'm going to get to a work Halloween party. Kai is also in costume right now.
Sorry, that's just a little. It sounds a little sad. Sounds a little sad.
It's true. It's true.
Man.
I know.
Man.
Kai is dressed up as Kai Ryssdal on Beer Day.
Kai Ryssdal, yes, Kai Ryssdal, radio personality on Beer Day. That's what I got. That's what I got. So let us. Speaking of Beer Day, I have a new one. It's a new fave. From the Dust Bowl Brewing Company. Sorry, in Turlock, California. The Therapist Imperial IPA.
It's like,
come on,
pretty good, right? That is the most appropriate beer name.
I know.
Of 2020. Like
it's
that's
really,
amazing.
really good.
Did it exist before
the ABV is
this
a
crazy
high.
year?
Oh yeah, no, it did. It did. It's this brewery's been around since 2000 something, but it's yummy, and that's all I'll say.
Outstanding. I brought my new favorite thing, the porter, that also happens to have the Halloweeny label, Founders Porter. Lovely. Absolutely lovely. And of course, those of you who are watching us now in the YouTube know that we're live on YouTube right now. And
yes,
I was going to ask what everyone's drinking, but for some reason, everyone's talking about the hair and my costume. Those of you who are listening to this later should know that 5 minutes before the show, I scampered upstairs to my costume box like every good mom has and dug out my Cruella de Vil wig and jacket. Because it's Halloween. Come on. We need something. All right.
Can I just say that there is the teensiest bit of love for me not dressing up on the comments. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So look, the ABV of mine, by the way, what?
We appeal to everyone.
You dress up and I don't? That's right.
There's something for everyone in this show.
Yes. And what is going to be in the show today is a little bit of news, a little bit of commentary on the current state of affairs. I regret to inform you, by the way, I do not have a Make Me Smile. There was nothing that I did a couple of Rex Chapman videos, but that seemed a little too easy. So I'm going to, wean myself off of those. But I note that you have two. So we're going with you. Yeah. That's how it goes. All right. I'm going to climb right in and I will do my usual Friday thing, which is the early vote statistics, which are kind of amazing. I'm sure you've already heard this today since people have been picking up on this since we've been doing it for the past month. Harris County, Texas, one of the really big counties down there, has hit its 2016 total. The entire state of Texas is at 100.6% of its 2016 turnout. The state of Hawaii, 104.5%. I mean, it's kind of amazing who's turning. Well, let me rephrase that. It's kind of amazing how many people are turning out. It's extraordinary. It's extraordinary. I'm so transfixed by this map and this trend. I
am too. And frankly, delighted to see Americans vote. I mean,
yeah.
If nothing else, that's a good thing. That seems like good news.
Yeah.
Because it's our democracy to lose for sure.
Yep.
Now I'm geeking out about the map.
9 million. I know. I got to get away from this map. Okay. Anyway, so my second item, if I may, since I started, so I might as well finish, is related in a way to the turnout. There was a piece in the Washington Post today, I believe it's today, and if not, doesn't matter, about the lived experience of Kamala Harris and what it will mean as she conceivably becomes the vice president of the United States. And it starts with an anecdote, and I'm just going to read it to you. Mm-hmm. At some point in Kamala Harris's life, somebody has instructed her to carry her keys like a weapon when she walks to her car. Someone has said, get them out of your purse before you leave the grocery store. Arrange them between your fingers, and if somebody attacks you, aim for the face. And that is a lived experience that Kamala Harris has and millions of women have, but that no vice president of the United States has ever had. And I know we talked in 2016 a lot about Hillary Clinton and this is going to sound sexist, but I don't mean it to. We talked a lot about how she looked, right? And what she wore and how long it took her to do her makeup when she had to go out, and the fact that Trump only had to roll out of bed and throw on a tie and comb his hair or whatever. And it and the time that took. But I think this now has become a more substantive discussion of the differences in perspective and experience that women will bring. And I found this article really illuminating. And I know every woman out there is saying, of course, you moron, could you be more male privileged? But look, I'm trying. Anyway, I just read this piece. It's really good. Tony's going to put it in the show notes.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're reading it. Hopefully no one's beating you up too much. It's good. I mean,
they will. And look, that's fair.
Yeah.
I just did an interview today. Sorry, a little tangent here. I did an interview today with a woman who had written an article for the Financial Times about what cities would look like if women designed them. And at some point in that piece, there was a line that just, it just smacked me. It was like, all of our cities for millennia have been designed by and for able-bodied men.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you're like,
yeah.
Oh my God, of course. Of course.
And our cars.
And so we had a really good conversation about it. Right. All that stuff. And anyway. And I just think it's really good that this conversation is being had in at least half of the country, which I don't think is a political thing to say. And I think it's a positive thing, getting back to the democracy and everybody voting.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think like everybody arrives at knowledge at different times. I'm kind of fascinated by the concept of information delay overall, like who arrives at what information and when. And this column feels like a piece of that information. And I think ultimately the only thing that matters is a willingness to take in the information, as opposed to be like, nah, this isn't real, or this doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I have been seeing a lot of stories about how Kamala Harris is being subject to, not just the willful and constant mispronunciation of her name, but also dramatically more disinformation than Mike Pence is. Like dramatically more personal disinformation and attacks. And like, there is not a woman in America who isn't sitting there going, yeah, I know the reason.
So did you see? Yeah, right. The two reasons. Did you see the 60 Minutes last week, the one that Trump walked out of, but they also had Biden and Harris on?
Yeah.
So the amazing thing, and the only reason I saw this is because my 19-year-old son is actually a 70-year-old man and likes to watch 60 Minutes every weekend. Sorry. No, it's true. But anyway, so so Nora O'Donnell did the interview with Kamala Harris. And Kamala Harris said, in essence, I'm going to bring a different perspective to the vice presidency and to this administration as I help Joe Biden govern the country when we win, she said. And Nora O'Donnell said with a straight face, is that a socialist or progressive agenda? And I'm like, are you kidding me? How do you even?
Yeah.
How do you even?
I mean, that whole episode was like two men being taken seriously and one woman not being taken seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's, look, the patriarchy is institutional, which is why it can also come from women. And in that case, it did. Like, I hate to beat up on my former colleagues at CBS, but that was a pretty infuriating interview.
Yep. All right, over to you. What do you got?
Ironically, that's so funny because the three stories I brought all have one thing in common.
Three stories. Sorry.
3 stories. I brought 3 stories.
So you have 3 stories and 2 make-up dolls. You got 5, sister.
I really 5. I missed yesterday, so I had like a lot to make up for.
Okay, fine.
I needed, I needed to get them all in there. So for the past couple of weeks, arguably since the Times started reporting on President Trump's tax returns, there has been a steady dribble at this late stage in the game of stories about corruption in the White House. And, not least of which is the one from just yesterday about how apparently Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross stayed on the board of a Chinese joint venture.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
While running the trade war. So
yeah,
was deeply intertwined with the Chinese business. Yeah.
Yep.
There was also a remarkable story in the Washington Post on the 27th that just sort of went right by about how much money President Trump's companies have gotten paid over the last 4 years, up to and including charging United States taxpayers for like glasses of water. There was a story also yesterday about how essentially Turkish President Recep Erdogan was like let off the hook in a bunch of different ways because because President Trump had business interests in Turkey, and so on and so forth. So these are stories that are coming out now, and I have often said in the course of this administration, like, it's not partisan to investigate corruption. It's been very interesting to me to watch the media, and I understand that this is like a tricky situation in which we find ourselves because we are that, and I will say we could have been doing it too for the last 4 years, right? There has been no end of stories that could have been written about corruption, self-dealing, and where taxpayer money went. I mean, the one that just blew my mind the other day was the one about the $250 million that was going to be spent on a basically pro-Trump propaganda campaign to defeat despair around the coronavirus, in which they created a McCarthy-esque blacklist of celebrities based on, among other things, whether or not they supported gay marriage. Like taxpayer money funded a blacklist in which people were disqualified for supporting gay marriage. And it's just been very interesting to me. I guess the comment here is like, it's interesting to me to see these newspapers try to catch up on 4 years of corruption stories in the last 2 weeks before an election in which in many states more people have now already voted than voted in 2016. Like, this has been an entertainment presidency.
Yes. Except it's democracy that's at stake, number one.
I agree. Yep.
And to your prior point, you and I say things here in this very safe space where it's just the two of us and nobody else listening at all.
Yeah. Like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's like a confessional here. That if we said them on the air, people would lose their beans. But, every now and then we step over the line, sure. But we are cautious and careful to be fact-based and point out factual inconsistency, shall we say. And the idea that we, the media at large, have to tiptoe around things like fact-checking for fear of being taken as partisan, although that's deteriorated in the last number of weeks and months, is kind of nuts. The idea that you can't say that's just a lie without everybody on the other side going, "Oh my God, you said he's a lie. How do you know?" Is insane.
Well, even worse than that,
it's crazy.
I would say, even worse than the lie example is the like, you can't say that this is a misuse of taxpayer money. You can't say that this is corruption.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I have been
Excellent
actually
point.
ultimately obsessed with over the last couple of weeks. Is the accepting of the framing, the accepting of the framing that it would somehow be an unfair characterization. It would be a partisan attack to say the president has to divest from his business interests, otherwise corruption occurs. There's a legal definition. Like, it's not a it's not an attack. And yet many members of the media, because a big part of the, kind of 40-year marketing plan of the GOP that George Lakoff talked to us about in one of our early episodes of Make Me Smart.
These many years ago, right? We were so early with that, by the way. Can I just say props to us?
Seriously. Yep. You're welcome, everyone. You're welcome.
Yeah.
But a big part of the plan was to like convince the liberal media that they're liberal, right? Like to literally convince newspapers to accept the framing that if somehow they say, whoa, like a lot of Republicans seem to be covering up for corruption right now, or indulging it, or allowing it, or turning a blind eye to the Hatch Act, that would be a partisan statement as opposed to like a point of fact. And all of a sudden it's like the blinders have come off. Ben Collins wrote a piece in the New York Times the other day about how the gatekeepers had returned because the Wall Street Journal editorial side.
That was a great piece. No, Ben Smith.
Take the
great
bait.
Piece. Ben Smith.
Sorry, Ben
great
Smith.
Piece.
Yeah, Ben Collins is my favorite at NBC.
Yeah.
About the return of the gatekeepers.
Yep.
And it is it's just an interesting shift, and it's happening all of a sudden. And one certainly has to wonder, because you see stories all day long, whether you want to or not, about whether the polls are tightening or not tightening, or what's happening in the battleground states and whatever. And one has to wonder what would have happened if just the news, if just the truth had been the goal all along.
Yeah. Can I say, the whole, are the polls tightening or this and that? That's a little bit like, is the virus count rising and which state is up and which state is down? I just can't, because there's just such a deluge of, oh my God, yes, no. Oh, geez, and you're like, oh my, what? Sorry. Yep. That was a peek inside my brain. Okay. So we're running a little long, surprisingly,
I think all
on
of our
a Friday.
brains are basically like, oh
I know,
God,
right?
There's beer involved.
I know.
Let us have this.
I know. So, Mr. Talladay, if you would, please. That's so funny. I say it and it happens. Okay. I got nothing. You got two. Pick your best shot and let's hit it.
All right. Well, I'm going to go. I will say in very, very brief, good job, the New York Times, because they made this whole interactive thing for election stress relief. Like, have you voted? Yes. Okay. Here's some calming things and like puppies and like nature videos. It is delightful. I watched it a bunch this morning. It's wonderful. But the best part is if you go and you say you're over 18 and you haven't voted, it just kicks you out. Subtle.
Oh no.
And yet
really
effective.
It should give you a little 404 that says you suck.
Yeah, Sorry. Exactly. Like get after that out loud? Get after it. And then thank you to science, because science has done the work. In a study published yesterday in the journal M Systems, researchers at the University of California, San Diego School of Medicine and San Diego State University analyzed the viral load of coronavirus on Halloween candy. They got a bunch of people who were sick with COVID-19 to handle a bunch of candy to find out if it was
like
going to
lick
be safe.
The candies? Ew, shut up. No.
Not like lick it. No, just, put it in a bowl and then see what happened. Okay. And they were like, look, as with everything in life, the risk is not zero. But if you wash your hands before you handle the candy, and then when you take the candy home, you give it a little wipe ski, the risk is very low. Virus was detected on only 10% of candies handled after hand washing. So everyone who's going to put out candy in a bowl on their sidewalk away from the front door, like I'm going to, wash your hands first.
Yep.
Anyway, I appreciated the attempts of science to save Halloween for at least some children.
Look, honestly, it's at this point, science is going to save us, because we're clearly not going to save ourselves. That's all I got. That's all I got.
Jeez, man, this is the make me smile part.
No, it's good. No, it's good. It was good. It was good. It was good. It was good. All right. That's it. We're done. Cruella DeVille is going to go somewhere and whatever. Back next week is what we are. Thank you, Yoda. In the meanwhile, send your answers to Make Me Smart. No, send your answers to the Make Me Smart question, which is, of course, as a reminder, what is something you thought you knew but later found out you were wrong about? Email us, makemesmart@marketplace.org. Voicemails preferred. Emails accepted.
Emails accepted.
I'm just, because we have to.
Yeah, no, I love it. Well, they're good too. Make Me Smart is produced and directed by Marissa Cabrera. Tony Wagner is our digital producer. Ben Heathcote produces video with the help of video intern extraordinaire Ethan Parrots, who would never lick the candy. And Erica Phillips writes our newsletters and the Make Me Smart skill on your smart device. She finds all the good stories.
Ben Talladay actually made things happen today down in the studio in Los Angeles. He composed our theme music with Daniel Ramirez. The senior producer for today, because Donna Tam is off and Bridget is on maternity leave, family leave, take your pick. Anyways, Tara Nieves, she's running things. That's what I got.
She's like, what have I done?
Tara Nieves is in charge.
Why is there a wig? Why did we talk about the media? Get me out of here. We should really like do a show where we take a bunch of cuts from our George Lakoff interview and like re-up them.
That's a really good idea. And you know what? Actually, wait, stop. So in all seriousness, take a couple of George Lakoff cuts and then take a couple of Trump cuts and juxtapose. For reals.
We should totally do
right?
that. Like,
and look, here's the theory, and here's what we predicted, and then here's how it is applied in practice by the president of the United States and Republicans. Take your pick, Mitch McConnell or Lindsey Graham, or take your pick, right? And how it's being used.
Like literally voters.
And voters
interviewed now
honestly.
and are just saying like, oh, well, blah, 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 blah. And just repeating the exact and headlines, that accept the framing. Yeah, the whole thing.
So I've been going downtown to do the show, right? Because Spectrum sucks, which means I've been, alone for 6 hours a day, plus or minus. So I throw on CNN on the television. I throw on